Some life facts are like fiction, but are true. These facts rarely happen, but when they do, their echoes go around the world. The most spectacular prison escapes are part of it. Their authors, generally repeat offenders, are prisoners of war, outlaws, and even men of letters. They are masters in the art of circumventing the most incredible security devices to regain freedom. At the risk of losing their lives, they dare and thus succeed in unimaginable exploits. Thus, from the use of the helicopter to the use of tunnels, through the use of false guns, their operating methods are varied and most unsuspected. Here is a summary of the top 10 most spectacular prison escapes. Number 10, the attempted escape from Jack Best and Bill Goldfinch. Colditz Camp, Saxony, Germany. This prisoner of war camp was erected by the German army on a castle, which is located on a cliff. In preparation for their escape, two British pilots, Jack Best and Bill Goldfinch, had the ingenious idea of building a glider for two people. The glider was to take off from the roof of the prison. Destination, the other side of the Mulde River, about 60 meters below. To do this, they stole pieces of wood and created a false wall to hide their workshop set up in an inferior attic, above the chapel. They thus began to assemble their flying tool, planks for wing beams, and used electrical cables for control wires, bed slats for ribs, etc. Unfortunately for the two prisoners, the camp was relieved by the Allies when the glider was about to be completed. Number 9, the escape of Dieter Dengler, Vietnamese prison camp. A prisoner of war camp in the jungle. During the Vietnam War, Dieter Dengler, a pilot in the German-American Navy, saw his plane shot down over Laos. Renowned as a fine strategist in simulated escapes from prisoner of war camps, Dengler uses his ingenuity by setting up an escape plan for prisoners in the camp. On June 29, 1966, this plan allowed Dengler and 6 other prisoners to untie their hands and feet. They were able to seize the guards' weapons and killed 3. Dengler thus finds himself in the jungle. For 23 days, he was tested and survived hunger, extreme heat, cohabitation with leeches, insects, and other parasites. Finally, Dieter Dengler was rescued by an American helicopter. Throughout the history of the Vietnam War, he is, to date, the only American soldier to have managed to escape from a prison camp. Number 8, the escape of Union soldiers, Libby Prison. Libby Prison, Richmond, Virginia, United States. In addition to the deadly living conditions prevailing there, this prison gives prisoners of the American Civil War no chance of escaping. Erected in 3 floors above the ground, it indeed has a basement overlooking the James River, among other obstacles. However, on the night of February 9 to 10, 1864, 109 prisoners with Colonel Rose at their head managed to reach this previously impassable basement. 17 days of tunneling allowed them to drill a small lot on the east side of the prison and find themselves inside a warehouse. But only 59 of the 109 fugitives successfully escaped through the front door peacefully and were finally able to join the Union. Among the others, 48 were captured and 2 drowned during their escape. Number 7, the escapes of Pascal Payet, prisons in France. Pascal Payet is one of the most watched prisoners in France. His name has traveled the world in the history of the most incredible prison escapes. 2 successful escapes from high-security prisons in France, 2 identical operating modes, diverted helicopters. The first feat of the French murderer dates back to October 12, 2001. That day, his friends executing his plan, hijack a helicopter and land on the roof of the prison of a French village. Payet managed to escape. But he was arrested and sentenced again in 2005. Against all odds, Payet re-offended in 2007 when, on July 14 exactly, 4 masked men forced the pilot of a hijacked helicopter to land on the roof of Grasse prison, where Pascal was waiting. The successful operation, Pascal Payet, his 4 accomplices, and the pilot finally landed on the Mediterranean coast. Releasing the latter unscathed, they disappear into the wild. Number 6, the escape of John Herbert Dillinger, prison of Crown Point. Crown Point Prison, Lake County, California, United States. Highly secured by a human device made up of National Guard soldiers and police, this prison is described by the police as being tested by escapes. But in 1934 John Dillinger will prove the opposite. Indeed, this American bank robber was able to escape it by means of a false pistol. That he would have used a razor to sculpt a piece of wood from the shelves of his cell, or a piece of soap coated with black wax, one thing is certain: Dillinger managed to deceive a guard who opened the door to his cell. He then took 17 men hostage to lock them in what is now his old cell. He was able to escape aboard the brand new Ford, which he instantly stole from the sheriff. Number 5. The escape of Giacomo Casanova, prison of Leeds. Nicknamed Leeds Prison, the prison establishment that hosted Giacomo Casanova has a lead roof. This does not suggest any attempt to escape. But that did not convince Giacomo Casanova, the famous Venetian writer and adventurer arrested in 1753 for his crimes of adultery and debauchery. A hint of metal smuggled into his cell allowed Casanova to begin what seemed until then impossible. Involving in his adventure a renegade priest locked up in a nearby room, the two men managed to dig a tunnel in the ceiling, reach another room, and go to the ground floor of the prison. From there they were able to escape by means of a gondola. Casanova will later write a popular memory about this escape which seems to be too good to be true. In any case, the facts which describe his escape are still the subject of much speculation. Number 4. The Texas 7 Escape, John Connally Unit. John B. Connally, Kennedy, United States Unit. This state prison under close surveillance was, however, the scene of a most spectacular scene. On December 13, 2000, 7 prisoners, the Texas 7, managed to subdue 16 people, 4 correctional agents, 3 uninvolved detainees and 9 civilian supervisors. Most of them are stripped of their clothes and ID. 4 of the plotters, posing as prison officers, distract the tower guards through phone calls. The others, fitted with the usurped clothing and identity documents, were able to descend into the rank tower. They stole numerous weapons and a maintenance van. Even though they were able to escape from their prison, the Texas 7 were apprehended. But one of them preferred to commit suicide rather than return to prison. Among the 6 others placed on death row, 1 has already been executed. Number 3. The escape of the 18 IRA prisoners, Maes Prison. Maes Prison, County Down, Northern Ireland. This prison establishment is set up in a gigantic complex, with its solid steel doors and electronically actuated. It is built in several blocks. 5.5-meter concrete walls reinforced with barbed wire, 15-foot fences, etc. That's what characterizes these blocks, and makes Maes Prison one of the most highly secure in Europe. And yet, on September 25, 1983, after several months of planning and thanks to the complicity of 2 pseudo-caregivers, 38 prisoners of the IRA, Irish Republican Army, became the absolute masters of the H7 block of this prison. Using smuggled weapons, they took guards hostage, killed 2 prison officers, and injured 20 others. In the end, they invited the driver of a truck who came to unload food to help them escape. What he did. Number 2. The escape of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers, Alcatraz Prison. Alcatraz Federal Prison, Alcatraz Island, San Francisco, United States. This prison is built of concrete and is completely surrounded by water, making it a maximum security prison. Secure? Yes, but that is not the opinion of Frank L. Morris and the 2 brothers John and Clarence Anglin. The 3 detainees took 2 years to build a tunnel in the wall using a spoon. On June 11, 1962, they managed to escape by climbing on the block of their cell. Then, by means of an air trap, they were able to cut the bars and thus reach the roof of the prison. They finally found themselves on the shore and made a makeshift raft before disappearing into the wild. Did they manage to reach the other end of the bay, or did they drown? Even though this second hypothesis was issued by the FBI, their bodies were never found. This fascinating story was transcribed in the successful film Escape from Alcatraz, where Frank Morris is played by Clint Eastwood. Number 1. The Escape from Camp Stalin Luft 3, or The Great Escape. The grandest feat of this top 10 of the most spectacular prison escapes took place in the Stalag Luft III camp in Germany. 600 prisoners of war participated for more than a year in the project to create 3 tunnels to be used for their escape. These tunnels led to a nearby forest. A pump has been installed to oxygenate the tunnels. The camp's electrical network was used underground for lighting. Welf rails and wagons have been put in place for the transport of materials over approximately 5 months. When everything was ready, the detainees began the Great Escape on March 24, 1944. Unfortunately, their attempt was exposed. However, despite an air raid underway, 3 of the 76 fugitives have successfully operated. The rest were either captured or killed.